Welcome back, brave souls, to another spine-chilling installment of our haunted storytelling series. In this fifth episode of Most Haunted Ghost Towns of Colorado, we journey deep into the heart of the Rocky Mountains, where abandoned mining camps, forgotten settlements, and desolate outposts stand frozen in time, silent witnesses to tragedies, triumphs, and terrors that refuse to fade. These ghost towns are not merely relics of the past, they are living, breathing entities steeped in sorrow, secrets, and supernatural phenomena that continue to captivate and terrify those who dare to explore their crumbling streets. Colorado's ghost towns are more than just decaying remnants of a bygone era. They are portals to another world. Beneath their weathered facades lie stories of greed, betrayal, violence, and unexplained disappearances. Each dilapidated cabin, rusting mine shaft, and overgrown cemetery holds its own dark tale, whispered through the howling winds and shadowy corridors. From phantom miners still searching for gold to spectral children playing among ruins, these places pulse with an eerie energy that defies explanation. Whether you're drawn by morbid curiosity or an insatiable thirst for the supernatural, these ghost towns promise encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. In this episode, we'll delve into some of the most infamous haunted ghost towns across Colorado, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of deserted saloons, explore eerie graveyards cloaked in mystery, and tread cautiously through abandoned mines teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of Colorado's ghost towns, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. St. Elmo, echoes of gold fever and ghostly whispers nestled high in the Sawatch Range of central Colorado, St. Elmo stands as one of the best-preserved ghost towns in the state, a hauntingly picturesque relic of the late 19th century gold rush era. Established in 1880, the town quickly became a bustling hub for prospectors, merchants, and adventurers chasing fortune in the rugged mountains. At its peak, St. Elmo boasted over 2,000 residents, numerous saloons, general stores, hotels, and even a schoolhouse. However, beneath its vibrant facade lay a darker narrative, one marked by tragedy, isolation, and lingering spirits unwilling to leave behind the life they once knew. One of the most enduring legends tied to St. Elmo revolves around the Stark family, prominent figures in the town's early days. Antonia Stark, the matriarch of the family, ran a successful general store that served as the social and economic center of St. Elmo. Historical records indicate that Antonia was deeply devoted to her community, often extending credit to struggling miners during lean times. Yet her kindness masked a personal tragedy, the untimely death of her husband, Charles, in a mining accident. Locals believe his spirit haunts the old general store, which remains standing today despite the passage of decades. Visitors report hearing faint footsteps echoing through the empty building, accompanied by the sound of coins clinking together, as though someone is tallying inventory. Some claim to see a shadowy figure resembling Charles pacing anxiously near the windows, his expression frozen in eternal anguish. Another prominent figure in St. Elmo's haunted lore is believed to be Mary Murphy, the namesake of the nearby Mary Murphy mine. Known as the Lady of the Rockies, Mary was a rare woman entrepreneur in the male-dominated world of mining. Her determination and grit earned her respect among the rough-and-tumble miners of St. Elmo, but her life ended in tragedy when she succumbed to illness while overseeing operations at the mine. Paranormal investigators exploring the area have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a female entity whispering phrases like, "Keep digging," and "Don't stop." Witnesses described seeing a translucent figure clad in period attire standing near the entrance of the mine, her face obscured by shadows. Others report feeling an icy draft pass through them as they approach, as though warning intruders to stay away. The town's cemetery, perched on a hill overlooking the valley, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Many graves bear simple wooden markers, their inscriptions long since faded by time and weather. Yet visitors recount sightings of shadowy figures huddled around the headstones, their faces obscured by darkness. Some claim to hear faint moans and cries emanating from the graves, as though the dead are reaching out for acknowledgement. A particularly unnerving incident involved a tourist who swore he saw a young boy playing with marbles near a cluster of graves, only for the child to vanish when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been a victim of illness or accident during the town's heyday, forever trapped in the confines of its burial ground. Modern-day explorers of St. Elmo frequently recount bizarre experiences that defy logical explanation. Lights flicker unpredictably in abandoned buildings, especially after sunset. Doors slam shut on their own, and the scent of cigar smoke wafts through the air despite the absence of any visible source. One visitor described waking up in the middle of the night to find his reflection in the mirror staring back at him, but not quite matching his movements, as if another entity stood behind him, mimicking his actions. Another recounted seeing a man in a dusty miner's uniform standing at the foot of her bed, his hollow eyes boring into hers before vanishing without a sound. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, St. Elmo remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its rich tapestry of human drama, interwoven with tragedy and loss, creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For those brave enough to book a stay in nearby lodgings or camp under the stars, the opportunity to encounter Antonia Stark, Mary Murphy, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its streets adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor crosses its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the darkness that lingers within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the town's tragic tale. Ashcroft, shadows of glory days past perched amidst the towering peaks of the Elk Mountains, Ashcroft stands as a testament to the fleeting nature of prosperity and the enduring power of memory. Once a thriving silver mining town in the late 19th century, Ashcroft's story is one of meteoric rise and catastrophic fall, a cycle that left scars on both the land and its people. Founded in 1879, the town attracted thousands of prospectors and settlers eager to strike it rich in the booming mining industry. By 1883, Ashcroft boasted 2 newspapers, 20 saloons, a post office, and a population nearing 2,000. But as quickly as fortunes were made, they disappeared. When silver prices plummeted and richer strikes were discovered elsewhere, Ashcroft's inhabitants fled en masse, leaving behind a ghost town frozen in time and haunted by the restless spirits of those who called it home. One of the most pervasive legends tied to Ashcroft centers around the Blue Mirror Saloon, a notorious watering hole that served as the social epicenter of the town. Historical accounts describe it as a raucous den of vice, where miners gambled away their earnings, brawls erupted nightly, and illicit deals sealed under whiskey-soaked tables. Yet beneath its lively exterior lay a darker legacy. Local lore tells of a violent altercation in 1884, when a dispute over stolen loot escalated into a bloody gunfight. 3 men died on the floor of the saloon, their blood staining the wooden planks. Decades later, visitors exploring the site report hearing faint echoes of laughter and shouting, punctuated by the unmistakable crack of gunfire. Some claim to see shadowy figures huddled around card tables, their faces gaunt and pale, as though still engaged in games of chance. Others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them as they enter, as if the air itself carries the weight of unresolved violence. Another haunting figure associated with Ashcroft is believed to be Jack Leahy, a charismatic yet troubled prospector whose dreams of wealth turned to dust. According to historical records, Jack invested everything he had in a failed mining venture, losing not only his fortune but also his sanity. His final days were spent wandering the streets of Ashcroft, muttering incoherently about hidden treasures and betrayals. Locals found his body in the snow outside the town limits, his hands clutching a map now lost to time. Since then, visitors to Ashcroft report seeing a disheveled man stumbling aimlessly through the ruins, his eyes wild and unfocused. Some claim to hear faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries of despair. Others describe finding objects moved inexplicably, tools scattered across the ground or rocks arranged in peculiar patterns, as though Jack is still searching for the treasure that eluded him in life. the surrounding wilderness, thick with pine forests and rocky outcrops, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Hikers exploring the trails near Ashcroft often feel an inexplicable sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, Ashcroft continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the sacrifices made in pursuit of fortune and fame. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, Ashcroft offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. Animus Forks, frozen in time and terror high in the San Juan Mountains, accessible only by rugged dirt roads and sheer determination, lies Animus Forks. A ghost town so remote and desolate that it feels like stepping into another dimension. Established in 1873, this former mining hub thrived briefly during the silver boom of the late 19th century, drawing hundreds of prospectors and settlers to its windswept valleys. At its height, Animus Forks boasted nearly 450 residents, a newspaper, a general store, and even a dance hall. But as mining fortunes waned and harsh winters took their toll, the town's population dwindled until all that remained were empty cabins and silent streets. Today, Animus Forks stands as a stark reminder of humanity's fragility, and a breeding ground for ghostly legends that send shivers down the spines of those brave enough to visit. One of the most infamous incidents tied to Animus Forks occurred in the winter of 1884, when a brutal blizzard swept through the region, cutting off supplies and isolating the town for weeks. Temperatures plummeted, food stores dwindled, and tensions ran high among the stranded residents. Historical accounts suggest that several individuals succumbed to starvation and exposure during this harrowing ordeal. Decades later, visitors exploring the abandoned cabins report hearing faint scratching sounds emanating from the walls, as though someone, or something, is clawing desperately to escape. Others recount waking up to find their bedsheets tangled impossibly tight around their limbs, as if restrained by invisible hands. The most disturbing accounts come from those who swear they've seen gaunt, emaciated figures peering through frosted windows, their hollow eyes fixed on intruders before vanishing into thin air. Another prominent figure in the town's haunted lore is believed to be Emily Montgomery, the daughter of a wealthy mine owner who sought refuge in Animus Forks during the height of the mining boom. Described as beautiful but tragically naive, Emily fell victim to the advances of a drifter who promised her riches and romance. When she discovered his intentions were less than honorable, she confronted him in a secluded cabin, only to meet a gruesome fate. Accounts vary, but all agree that Emily's death was brutal and unjust. Her spirit is said to linger in the cabin, manifesting as a faint outline of a woman clad in Victorian attire. Guests often complain of feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them, accompanied by the sound of quiet sobbing that seems to emanate from the walls themselves. Adding to Animus Forks' eerie atmosphere is the recurring appearance of spectral miners, believed to be the restless spirits of those who perished in cave-ins or accidents deep within the mountain tunnels. Visitors exploring the old mine shafts often describe hearing the distant clanging of picks against rock, followed by guttural shouts and groans of pain. Some claim to see shadowy figures dragging invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural. A particularly chilling account comes from a group of hikers who swore they felt cold metal cuffs snap around their wrists, pulling them backward toward the darkness before releasing them abruptly. Modern-day investigations into Animus Forks' supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the old cabins and the mine entrances. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furniture pieces believed to have belonged to original residents. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help us," and, "It's so cold." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, Animus Forks remains a popular destination for tourists and locals alike. Its picturesque setting and rich history make it a favorite spot for photography and leisurely strolls. For those brave enough to venture inside after dark, The promise of encountering Emily or one of the countless other spirits said to linger adds an element of fascination and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor steps onto the town's snow-covered streets, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the echoes of the past, or will they become another chapter in Anonymous Fork's macabre legacy? Vulture City, ruins of ambition and agony hidden deep in the desert expanse of southwestern Colorado. Vulture City emerges like a mirage, a ghost town born of ambition, greed, and ultimately, ruin. Established in the late 1870s, this isolated settlement owed its existence to the discovery of gold in nearby Vulture Gulch. Prospectors flocked to the area, transforming what was once barren wasteland into a bustling hub of activity. At its peak, Vulture City boasted saloons, boarding houses, a blacksmith shop, and even a makeshift opera house, catering to the whims of its hard-living inhabitants. Yet beneath its veneer of prosperity lay a darker narrative, one marked by lawlessness, disease, and untimely deaths that haunt the town to this day. One of the most enduring legends tied to Vulture City revolves around the infamous Vulture Mine, a labyrinthine network of tunnels that claimed countless lives over the years. Miners worked grueling shifts in perilous conditions, braving cave-ins, toxic gases, and collapsing support beams. Tragedy struck repeatedly, with bodies often left entombed in the earth due to the difficulty of retrieval. Locals believe the spirits of these unfortunate souls remain trapped within the mine, unable to find peace. Visitors exploring the tunnels report hearing faint moans and cries echoing through the darkness, as though the dead are still pleading for rescue. Others describe feeling an icy draft pass through them, accompanied by the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. A particularly unnerving incident involved a group of amateur geologists who swore they saw shadowy figures moving alongside them, their forms flickering like candle flames before vanishing entirely. Another haunting figure associated with Vulture City is believed to be Sally McAllister, a fiery saloon owner whose larger-than-life personality dominated the town's social scene. Known for her sharp wit and unapologetic independence, Sally carved out a niche for herself in a male-dominated frontier. However, her success came at a cost. Historical accounts suggest that Sally became embroiled in disputes with rival business owners, leading to escalating tensions and acts of sabotage. One fateful night, her saloon burned to the ground under suspicious circumstances, taking her life along with it. Since then, visitors to Vulture City report seeing a woman in a flowing red dress gliding silently through the ruins, her translucent form illuminated by moonlight. Some claim to feel an icy draft pass through them as she drifts by, while others report hearing faint humming emanating from empty rooms, believed to be Sally tidying up after patrons long gone. The town's cemetery, perched on a hill overlooking the valley, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Many graves bear simple wooden markers, their inscriptions long since faded by time and weather. Yet visitors recount sightings of shadowy figures huddled around the headstones, their faces obscured by darkness. Some claim to hear faint moans and cries emanating from the graves, as though the dead are reaching out for acknowledgement. A particularly unnerving incident involved a tourist who swore he saw a young boy playing with marbles near a cluster of graves, only for the child to vanish when approached. Theories abound that the boy may have been a victim of illness or accident during the town's heyday, forever trapped in the confines of its burial ground. Modern-day explorers of Vulture City frequently recount bizarre experiences that defy logical explanation. Lights flicker unpredictably in abandoned buildings, especially after sunset. Doors slam shut on their own, and the scent of cigar smoke wafts through the air despite the absence of any visible source. One visitor described waking up in the middle of the night to find his reflection in the mirror staring back at him, but not quite matching his movements, as if another entity stood behind him, mimicking his actions. Another recounted seeing a man in a dusty miner's uniform standing at the foot of her bed, his hollow eyes boring into hers before vanishing without a sound. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, Vulture City remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its rich tapestry of human drama, interwoven with tragedy and loss, creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For those brave enough to camp among the ruins or stay in nearby lodgings, the opportunity to encounter Sally McAllister, the ghostly miners, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its streets adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor crosses its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the darkness that lingers within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the town's tragic tale. As we traverse the haunted landscapes of Colorado, from the opulent halls of St. Elmo to the somber grounds of ominous Forks, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing wards of hospitals to the shadowed basements of monuments, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments, or the betrayed trust of patients subjected to inhumane treatments, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or wards where patients met tragic ends. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal medical practices embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere buildings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted places captivate us? What is it about haunted places that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or where justice was denied, leaving wounds that refuse to heal. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. At the core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted places exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, health and illness, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted places contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Long, sterile hallways lined with identical doors create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant cough, the hum of fluorescent lights, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older structures, with their hidden wings and underground tunnels, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted places. Media representations, from films like The Shining to television series such as American Horror Story, have cemented the trope of the haunted asylum, courthouse, or battlefield as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about institutional power, systemic injustice, and the fragility of the human mind. Haunted places become microcosms of larger fears, the loss of agency, the misuse of authority, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted places appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted places attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. As we bring this chilling journey through Colorado's most haunted ghost towns to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of Colorado's haunted ghost towns yourself. Walk the same streets where spirits are said to roam, stand in the ruins where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken institutions offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all. But isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.